Hello. I'm glad we have this time to spend together to talk about some of the simple yet profound ideas that can have a dramatic effect on the course of a human life. I'd like to begin by asking you to consider a simple question. Have you ever stood in a garden and wondered at the miracle of a seed? A tiny, insignificant-looking thing holding within it the blueprint for a mighty oak tree. It has no branches, no leaves, no strength of its own. It is pure potential. And what does it require to unlock that potential? It requires the right soil, it requires water, it requires sunlight, and with these simple, consistent things, over time, the inevitable happens. The potential is expressed, the oak tree emerges. Now, let me ask you another question. What if your mind is the garden, and what if your words are the seeds? What kind of seeds have you been planting? You see, the words you speak to yourself, especially the quiet, repeated words you speak in the privacy of your own mind, are the most powerful creative force in your life. They are not just sounds, they are instructions. They are the seeds from which the circumstances of your life will grow. The words you speak to yourself today are, quite literally, becoming your reality tomorrow. So, if you find yourself in a life that you do not love, if you find the harvest of your days to be filled with the weeds of doubt, of fear, of scarcity, we must not blame the garden. We must look with unflinching honesty at the seeds we have been planting. Today, I want to propose a simple experiment, a challenge. For the next 7 days, we are going to consciously, deliberately, and with great discipline change the seeds. We are going to go on what I call a mental diet. We are going to stop planting the seeds of doubt and fear, and we are going to start planting the seeds of power, of possibility, and of purpose. This is not a magic trick. It is a science. It is the simple, profound process of changing your thoughts, changing your words, and watching with astonishment as your life begins to follow. For the next 7 days, we will explore a series of phrases, of ideas that will serve as your new seeds. Plant them correctly, water them with consistency, and I promise you, by the end of this week, you will begin to see a transformation in ways you can now only imagine. Let's begin the good work. Good day. I'm glad we have this time to invest together to talk about some of the simple yet profound ideas that can have a dramatic effect on the course of a human life. We're going to spend some time on a subject that is, in my estimation, the most foundational, the most critical, and yet the most tragically neglected of all human studies, the architecture of the mind, and the remarkable power of the words we use to build our lives. I'd like to begin by asking you to consider a simple image, a metaphor that has served me well for many years. Have you ever stood in a garden, a simple plot of earth, and have you wondered at the miracle of a seed? A tiny, dry, seemingly insignificant thing, holding within its humble shell the complete and perfect blueprint for a mighty oak tree, a fragrant rose bush, or a stalk of life-sustaining corn. The seed itself has no branches, no leaves, no strength of its own. It is pure, dormant potential. And what does this seed require to unlock that magnificent potential? It is quite simple, really. It requires the right soil, it requires water, it requires sunlight, and with these simple, consistent things, over a period of time, the inevitable happens. The law of the universe takes over. The potential is expressed. The oak tree emerges. Now, let me ask you another question, and I want you to consider this one with the full weight of its implications. What if your mind is the garden, and what if your words, what if your very thoughts are the seeds? What kind of seeds have you been planting? You see, the words you speak to yourself, and even more importantly, the quiet, repeated, and often unconscious words you allow to take root in the privacy of your own mind, are the most powerful creative force in your life. They are not just sounds, they are not just fleeting thoughts, they are instructions, they are architectural blueprints. They are the living seeds from which the circumstances, the relationships, and the financial condition of your life will inevitably grow. The words you speak to yourself today are quite literally becoming your physical reality tomorrow. So, if you find yourself in a life that you do not love, if you look upon the harvest of your days and find it filled with the weeds of doubt, of fear, of scarcity, of frustration, we must not blame the garden. The garden is neutral. The soil of your mind is fertile and willing. We must, instead, look with unflinching and courageous honesty at the seeds we have been planting. Today, I want to propose a simple experiment, a challenge, not for a lifetime, not for a year, but for a mere 7 days. For the next 7 days, we are going to consciously, deliberately, and with great discipline change the seeds. We are going to go on what I call a mental diet. We are going to stop the careless, unconscious planting of the seeds of doubt and fear, and we are going to start the intentional, focused planting of the seeds of power, of possibility, and of purpose. Now, I know what the skeptic in you might be thinking. It's a voice I know well. It's the voice of reason and realism. It says, can it really be that simple? Can a few words, a few phrases, truly change a life that has been set in its course for 20, 30, or 40 years? And the answer is a resounding yes. Not because the words themselves are magic, but because they are the starting point of all magic. A life is not a static object set in stone. A life is a river. And the flow of that river, its direction, its speed, its clarity, is directed by the quality and the consistency of your thought. Change the thought, and you begin to change the direction of the river. It may not happen overnight. A great river has momentum. It will not turn on a dime. But if you consistently apply a new direction, if you consistently nudge the current, the river must, by its very nature, begin to turn. So, for these 7 days, I ask you to suspend your disbelief. I ask you to put your cynicism on a shelf. I ask you to become a scientist in the private laboratory of your own life. Simply perform the experiment with diligence and an open mind. Plant these new seeds as instructed. Water them daily with the emotion of belief. And then simply stand back and observe the harvest. I think you will be astonished at what begins to grow. Are you ready? Let us begin the good work. Before we plant the first seed, it is crucial that we understand the nature of the soil. The soil, as I have said, is your subconscious mind. It is a miraculous, fertile ground of immense and mysterious power. But it has one very important and sometimes dangerous characteristic. It is not a discerning gardener. It will grow whatever seed you plant in it without question or prejudice. It does not judge. It does not argue. It does not have a sense of humor. If you plant a seed of doubt, it will not question your choice. It will simply go to work, drawing from the universe, the circumstances, the people, and the evidence to grow for you a magnificent, towering harvest of doubt in your life. If you plant a seed of fear, it will dutifully produce a life filled with things to be afraid of. If you consistently plant seeds of scarcity, of I don't have enough, it will work tirelessly to create a reality of lack. It is a faithful but neutral servant. Its only law is the law of growth. It will take the blueprint you give it, and it will build your life from that blueprint, brick by emotional brick. The words you speak are those seeds. The thoughts you allow to linger are those blueprints. When you say to yourself, even casually, I can't do this, you have just handed the foreman of your subconscious mind a direct, unambiguous instruction. You have planted a seed of limitation. When you say, this always happens to me, you have just planted a seed of victimhood, and your subconscious will go to work finding new and creative ways to prove you right. When you say, I'm just not smart enough, or I'm not a disciplined person, you are not making an observation, you are casting a spell. You are planting a seed of inadequacy that will, if left untended, grow into a dense and thorny thicket that chokes out all possibility. And for many of us, if we are honest, our mental gardens have been overrun with these weeds for years, often without our conscious consent. These seeds were not always planted by us. Sometimes They were planted in our childhood by a careless word from a parent or a teacher who, in a moment of their own frustration, labeled us as lazy or difficult. And because the soil of a child's mind is so incredibly fertile and open, that seed took root. Sometimes they were planted by a past failure, a single event that we allowed to define our entire identity. We tried something, we stumbled, and we made the fatal error of concluding not that our approach was a failure, but that we were a failure. And that conclusion became a seed we have been watering with regret ever since. Sometimes they are planted by the culture that surrounds us, a culture that often celebrates cynicism, that mocks ambition, and that treats doubt as a sign of intelligence. We absorb these attitudes, these subtle poisons, and they become the seeds we unconsciously plant in our own minds. But here is the great liberating and wonderful news. You are the master gardener. You are the architect of the mind. At any moment, right now, in this very second, you can choose to stop planting weeds. You can make the conscious decision to stop watering the old, thorny bushes of limitation. You can choose to begin the patient, diligent, and deeply rewarding work of pulling the old weeds one by one and planting new, powerful, and life-giving seeds in their place. This is the essence of what we will do together for the next 7 days. Each day, I will give you a new seed, a new phrase, a new idea, forged in the wisdom of experience. Your job is not to simply listen to it. Your job is not to be intellectually entertained by it. Your job is to plant it. And the act of planting is a discipline. It means you must speak the phrase aloud so your ears can hear it and reinforce it. It means you must write it down so your eyes can see it and impress it upon your mind. It means you must think about it, meditate on it, and explore its meaning for your life. And most importantly, it means you must feel it. You must water the seed with the powerful, creative emotion of belief. You must feel the reality of the phrase as if it were already true. The work is simple, but do not mistake simple for easy. It will require discipline. It will require consistency. Your old habits of thought, like stubborn weeds, will try to grow back. The world will continue to offer you seeds of doubt and fear. Your work is to stand guard at the gate of your garden and to say, no more. From this day forward, I am the only one who decides what grows here. This is the great adventure, the adventure of self-creation. And it begins, as all great things do, with a single, simple, and courageous choice. The choice to change your words, to change your thoughts, and to watch with a sense of profound and deserved wonder as your entire life begins to follow. Are you ready? Let us begin the good work. Let us plant the first seed. Good day. I am truly glad we have this time to invest together, to explore the simple yet profound philosophies that, when understood and applied, have the power to reshape the very architecture of a human life. In our introduction, we established a powerful premise that your mind is a garden and the words you speak to yourself are the seeds from which the harvest of your life will grow. We have committed together to a simple 7-day experiment, a mental diet, to consciously and deliberately change the seeds we are planting. Today is day 1, and on this first day, we will do the most important work of all. We will lay the foundation. For a house built on a weak foundation, no matter how magnificent its design, is destined to crumble. But a house built on a foundation of solid rock can withstand any storm. The phrase we will work with today is that solid rock. It is the foundational seed from which all other growth becomes possible. It is the great declaration that breaks the hard, barren ground of limitation and allows the first green shoots of possibility to emerge. I want you to take this phrase, and for the next 24 hours, I want you to let it occupy your mind. I want you to meditate on it, to dissect it, to feel its weight and its truth. The phrase is this: I can achieve anything I truly want. Now, before your well-trained, skeptical, and logical mind rushes in with its chorus of objections, before it begins to diligently list all the evidence from your past, all the reasons from your present circumstances, and all the fears about your future that seem to contradict this statement, I ask you to do something simple. Just pause. Suspend your disbelief for the duration of our time together. Allow yourself the luxury of considering, just for a moment, what if this were true? Because in that small opening, in that willingness to consider a new idea, lies the beginning of all transformation. The phrase itself seems simple, almost deceptively so. But within these 7 words lies a complete philosophy of human potential. Let us not simply recite it, let us deconstruct it, as a watchmaker would deconstruct a fine timepiece to understand the intricate and powerful mechanism within. Let us begin with the first 2 and most important words, I can. Have you ever truly considered the power contained in that simple statement, I can? It is the verbal embodiment of human potential. It is the recognition of the divine spark of creation that resides within every single human being. An animal cannot consciously declare, I can. An animal operates on instinct, on the programming of its nature. But you were given a gift. You were given the power of choice, the power of self-awareness, and the power to declare your own potential. For most of us, however, these 2 words have been systematically replaced by their dark and debilitating opposites, I can't. Where does this I can't come from? You were not born with it. No child enters this world believing in their own limitations. A child simply tries. They try to walk, they fall, and they get up again without a single thought of I can't. They try to speak, they babble, and they try again. The concept of I can't is not a natural state, it is a learned disease. It is a virus planted in your mind by a well-meaning but fearful parent who told you, don't climb too high, you might fall. It was installed by a teacher who, perhaps with a single careless grade, convinced you that you were not good at math. It was reinforced by a past failure, a single event that you, in your own mind, allowed to graduate from an incident into an identity. You failed once, and you concluded, I can't succeed. And so, over the years, the invisible prison walls of I can't are built brick by brick. And we become so accustomed to living within these walls that we forget they were built by us and can therefore be unbuilt by us. The phrase I can is the first swing of the sledgehammer against those prison walls. It is a declaration of rebellion against your own learned helplessness. When you say, I can, you are not describing your current abilities. You are not making a statement about your present resources or your past performance. You are making a statement about your innate capacity. Think of an acorn. Does an acorn contain within it a magnificent oak tree? Of course it does. It is not yet an oak tree, but the potential, the blueprint, the capacity for the oak tree is fully and completely present within that small seed. When you say, I can, you are simply acknowledging the truth of your own acorn. You are acknowledging that within you, right now, lies the blueprint for a life of magnificent achievement. This is not a matter of arrogance, it is a matter of accuracy. It is an accurate assessment of the creative power with which you were endowed. To say I can't is, in a very real sense, the ultimate form of arrogance. It is to look upon the gift of a sovereign, creative mind and to declare that you know better, that the gift is flawed, that your limitations are greater than the power that created you. So, when you repeat this phrase today, feel the truth of those first 2 words. Feel the dormant potential stirring within you. Recognize that you are not the sum of your past failures, you are the sum of your future possibilities. I can. It is the starting point. It is the foundation. Now let us move to the next word, achieve. This is the word of action, of process, of creation. The world is full of people who believe they can, but who never do. Their potential remains locked within them, a song that is never sung. The word achieve is the bridge between the internal world of potential and the external world of results. To achieve is to understand that success is not an accident. It is not a lottery ticket. It is a science. It is the natural and inevitable result of a specific process, just as the growth of the oak tree is the natural result of planting the acorn in fertile soil and providing it with water and sunlight. The process of achievement has been laid out by the great thinkers for centuries. It is the process of first creating a clear, definite idea in your mind, a goal, then creating a practical plan to bring that idea to fruition, and then executing that plan with disciplined, consistent action over a sufficient period of time. The word achieve implies that you are not waiting for success to happen to you. You are the force that makes success happen. You are the one who thinks, who plans, and who acts. This is a profound shift from the philosophy of the masses who spend their lives hoping, wishing, and waiting for their big break. The achiever does not wait for a break. He manufactures his own. He understands that achievement is not about luck, but about law. The law of sowing and reaping. The law of cause and effect. If you plant the right seeds of thought and you water them with the right disciplined actions, you must, by law, reap the harvest. So, when you say the word achieve today, let it be a reminder that you are a creator, a builder. It is a word of empowerment. It affirms that your future is not something you hope for, but something you build, brick by disciplined brick. Now we come to the most expansive and often the most challenging word in the phrase, anything. I can achieve anything. It is at this point that the logical, cynical mind often throws up its hands in protest. Anything? Surely you don't mean anything, it says. I can't just decide to flap my arms and fly to the moon. This is where the philosophy breaks down and becomes unrealistic. This is a childish and literal interpretation of a profound truth. Of course, the word anything operates within the bounds of natural law. But the hidden secret is that the natural laws that truly limit you are not the laws of physics, they are the laws of your own belief. What anything truly means is this: you can achieve anything that you can hold in your mind as a clear, vivid, and believable possibility, and for which you are willing to pay the price in disciplined effort. Your only true limitations are the ones you set up in your own mind. Think back through history. Did the men and women of the 18th century believe it was possible to speak with a person across an ocean in an instant? Of course not. It was outside the anything of their reality. Did the people of the 19th century believe it was possible to fly in a machine of metal? It was the stuff of fantasy. What changed? The laws of physics did not change. Human potential did not change. What changed was the scope of human imagination and belief. A few individuals dared to expand their personal definition of anything. They dared to believe in a possibility that the rest of the world deemed impossible. And because they believed, they acted. And because they acted, they made it real. They expanded the definition of anything for all of humanity. The anything that is possible for you is limited only by the scope of your own vision. Your past does not define it. Your current circumstances do not define it. The opinions of others certainly do not define it. Only your own imagination and your own belief set the boundaries. So, when you say the word anything today, let it be an act of liberation. Let it be a declaration that you will no longer accept the inherited second-hand limitations that have been placed upon your mind. Let it be a commitment to stretch the boundaries of your own possibility. The moment you truly accept that you can achieve anything, you stop asking, is it possible? And you start asking the far more powerful question, how can I make it possible? Finally, we arrive at the great qualifier, the governor on the engine. The words that give this entire phrase its profound and personal power. I truly want. This is perhaps the most important part of the entire philosophy. The universe does not respond to lukewarm wishes. It does not deliver its greatest treasures to the casually interested. It reserves its highest rewards for the person who knows with every fiber of their being what they truly want. There is a world of difference between a casual preference and a true burning desire. A preference is weak. I'd like to be wealthy. It would be nice to be in better shape. These are thoughts that have no creative power. A true want, a desire that comes from the very core of your soul, is a force of nature. It is definite, it is clear, it is an obsession. It is the thing that you think about when you wake in the morning and the last thing on your mind before you sleep. It is the why that gives you the strength to endure anyhow. Most people have never done the deep introspective work required to discover what they truly want. Their desires are a collection of borrowed ideas from advertising, from social media, from the expectations of their family and friends. And because these desires are not authentic, they lack power. So as you repeat this phrase today, you must ask yourself with unflinching honesty, what do I truly want? Not what do I think I should want? Not what would impress others? But what in the quietest, most honest part of my own heart is the great work I am here to do? What is the magnificent life I am here to build? This question may take you time to answer. It is perhaps the most important work you will ever do. But this phrase is the key that unlocks the door to that inquiry. So, let us put it all together. I can achieve anything I truly want. It is a declaration of your innate potential. It is an affirmation of your creative power. It is a liberation from your self-imposed limitations, and it is an invitation to discover your own authentic purpose. This is the work of day one. Your assignment is not complex, but it is profound. First, upon waking, stand before a mirror and speak these words aloud 10 times. Do not rush. Feel the meaning of each word. Second, write the phrase down on a small card and carry it with you. Throughout the day, in moments of pause, take it out and read it. Let it be your constant companion. Third, when any thought of doubt, fear, or limitation enters your mind, use this phrase as your immediate and powerful response. Interrupt the old negative programming with this new, powerful command. And finally, before you sleep, take a few minutes to visualize one thing you truly want. Do not just see it, feel it. Immerse yourself in the feeling of its accomplishment. This is the work. It is simple, it is profound, and it is the beginning. You are the master gardener. Today, you have been given the first and most powerful seed. Plant it well. Water it with your belief and your attention, and be prepared to be astonished at what begins to grow, not only in your life, but within you. Good day. It is a pleasure to have you with me again as we continue this important work, this 7-day experiment in the reshaping of a human life. Yesterday, our work was to lay the great foundation. We took the first and most vital seed, the phrase, I can achieve anything I truly want, and we planted it in the fertile soil of our minds. We did the work of breaking the hard, barren ground of our own learned limitations. We made the first great declaration not of our current state, but of our innate, limitless potential. It was the essential first step. It was the act of acknowledging the sleeping giant within. But a giant, even an awakened one, without direction or a sense of his own power, is still just a passive force. He may possess the capacity to move mountains, but if he does not believe it is his right and his responsibility to do so, he will remain standing still, a magnificent monument to unrealized potential. And so today, we take the next logical and essential step. We move from the acknowledgement of potential to the claiming of power. We move from I can to I do. We are here to plant the second great seed, a phrase of such profound implication that, if you truly accept it, will fundamentally alter your relationship with every circumstance, every challenge, and every person you will ever meet. The phrase for today, the seed we will plant with diligence and with a new sense of sovereign authority, is this: I have control over my own life. Now, I want you to let those words sit in the air for a moment, feel their weight, feel their magnificent and terrifying power. For this simple statement is perhaps the most liberating and the most terrifying declaration a human being can ever fully embrace. It is liberating because it is a declaration of absolute freedom. It means you are not a victim. You are not a pawn in a game played by the mysterious hands of fate or circumstance. You are not a leaf in the wind, tossed about by the careless currents of the world. It means that you and you alone hold the pen that writes the story of your life. You are the captain of your own ship, the master of your own soul. That is the liberation. But it is also terrifying, is it not? It is terrifying because it is a declaration of absolute responsibility. If you have control, then there are no more excuses. If you hold the pen, then you can no longer blame the story on anyone else. You can no longer point to your past, to your boss, to the economy, to the political climate, or to the stars and say, that is the reason my life is not what I wish it to be. The man who fully accepts that he is in control has accepted the weight of his own world. He has traded the comfortable, familiar prison of his excuses for the vast, open, and demanding landscape of freedom. And most people, if they are truly honest with themselves, are terrified of that freedom. They prefer the familiar pain of the prison to the unknown challenges of the open field. For most of our lives, we are subtly and systematically conditioned to believe the opposite of this phrase. We are taught the philosophy of the victim. We are taught to look outward for the source of our problems, and consequently, for the source of our solutions. If we are poor, it is the fault of the economy. If we are unhappy, it is the fault of our relationships. If we are unfulfilled, it is the fault of our job. This is the great human game of blame, of pointing the finger, and it is the most effective way to guarantee a life of mediocrity and quiet desperation. As long as you believe that the power to change your life lies outside of you, you will remain powerless. You will spend your days waiting for the government to change, waiting for your boss to notice you, waiting for your spouse to understand you, waiting for the right time or the big break, and you will wait your entire life away, a spectator in the stadium of your own existence. But the moment you accept, with every fiber of your being, that I have control over my own life, the entire game changes. The waiting ends. The prison doors swing open. And the real work, the great and glorious work of building a life begins. You stop being a passive observer and you become the active architect. So, for today, this phrase is your central focus. This is the seed you must plant. And the way we will plant it is by first understanding what this control truly means. This is not a statement of arrogance. It is not a foolish claim that you can control the entire universe. It is not a denial that external events happen, the rain will fall, the storms will come, the economy will fluctuate, other people will make their own choices. These things are outside of your control. The philosophy of personal control is not about managing the world, it is about managing yourself in the world. And it is built upon the understanding that there are a handful of profound and powerful things over which you, and only you, have absolute dominion. And these few things are all you will ever need to design a magnificent life. What are these things? First, you have absolute control over your thoughts. No one can force you to think a thought. You do not choose to think. They can present you with information, with arguments, with threats, but the final choice of what you do with that information, what thoughts you choose to cultivate in the garden of your mind, is yours alone. Second, you have absolute control over your attitude. Your attitude is the lens through which you interpret the world. Two men can face the exact same setback. One, with an attitude of pessimism, sees it as the end of the road. The other, with an attitude of optimism, sees it as a valuable lesson and a necessary detour. The setback was the same, the attitude was a choice, and that choice determined the outcome. And third, you have absolute control over your actions. No matter the circumstance, you always have a choice about what you will do next. You can choose to act with discipline or with neglect. You can choose to act with courage or with fear. You can choose to act with integrity or with deceit. Your actions are the chisel with which you carve your life from the raw marble of circumstance. Your thoughts, your attitude, and your actions. That is the trifecta of your personal power. And when you accept that these are under your complete and sovereign control, you realize that you have everything you need. You stop wishing for your circumstances to be different, and you start using your power to make them different. This is the great shift. You stop being a thermometer, merely reflecting the temperature of the room you are in. You become the thermostat, setting the temperature yourself. So, let the work of day 2 begin. When you wake up, before the world has a chance to tell you its story for the day, you will declare your own. I have control over my own life. As you go through your day, I want you to become a vigilant observer of your own thoughts and words. Notice how often you may have, by habit, given your power away. When you find yourself starting to complain about a situation, I want you to interrupt that thought. Stop. And instead of complaining, ask yourself this powerful question: what is my response? What is the one thing I have control over right now that can move this situation forward, even by a single inch? Perhaps you are stuck in traffic. The old powerless response is to get angry, to blame the other drivers, to let the situation control your emotional state. The new powerful response is to say, I have control. I cannot control the traffic, but I can control my attitude. I can use this time to listen to an educational audio. I can use this time to think through a problem. I can use this time to practice patience. In that moment, you have transformed a prison into a classroom. You have taken control. Perhaps you receive some criticism at work. The old powerless response is to become defensive, to blame the person, to feel like a victim. The new powerful response is to say, I have control. I cannot control their opinion, but I can control my reaction. I can choose to listen for any kernel of truth in their criticism that might help me improve. I can choose to let the rest go. In that moment, you have transformed an attack into a lesson. You have taken control. This is the practice. It is a moment-by-moment, choice-by-choice reclaiming of your own sovereignty. It is not about one grand dramatic act. It is about 1,000 small disciplined choices. As you repeat this phrase today, feel the sense of responsibility settling upon your shoulders. But I want you to learn to feel it not as a heavy weight, but as the magnificent weight of a royal crown. The person who takes full responsibility for their life is the person who has claimed their right to rule it. Think of the people you admire, the ones who have built lives of significance and success. They did not do so by waiting to be rescued. They did so by taking control. They understood that the circumstances of their birth were merely their starting point, not their destiny. Their destiny would be determined by the quality of their own philosophy and the discipline of their own actions. So, for today, take back your control. With every challenge you face, from the smallest annoyance to the largest obstacle, remind yourself of this profound and liberating truth. I have control over my own life. Let this phrase silence the seductive and comfortable voice of the victim. Let it awaken the powerful and responsible architect within you. Plant this seed of power deep in the soil of your being. Water it with conscious, responsible choices throughout your day. And watch as you begin to stand a little taller, speak a little more firmly, and walk with the quiet, unshakable confidence of a person who knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that they are, and always have been, in charge of their own magnificent destiny. Good day. Welcome to day 3 of our journey. I am truly glad you have returned. For the work we do today is of profound importance. In our first 2 days together, we have laid a magnificent foundation. On day 1, we cleared the ground of limitation and planted the foundational seed of possibility with the great declaration, I can achieve anything I truly want. On day 2, we took the next essential step. We moved from potential to power, claiming our own sovereignty with the liberating truth, I have control over my own life. You now understand that you have the innate capacity for greatness, and you have accepted that the power to direct that capacity lies within your own hands. You are the architect, and you are in charge of the blueprint. But a blueprint, no matter how brilliant, and an architect, no matter how visionary, will inevitably face a reality of the physical world, resistance. The ground upon which you build is not always soft. The weather is not always fair. The journey to any worthwhile destination is not a straight, easy, downhill road. It is, and always will be, a climb. It is a journey filled with challenges, with unexpected setbacks, and with moments that will test the very fiber of your being. And in those moments, you will need more than just a belief in your potential. You will need more than a sense of your own power. You will need an entirely different quality, a quality that is not born in the calm of contemplation, but that is forged in the very fires of adversity. You will need strength. The phrase for today, the seed we will now plant in the very heart of your character, is this: I am strong enough to face any challenge. Now, before we proceed, it is of the utmost importance that you and I have a clear and accurate understanding of what true strength is. For the world has sold you a very poor and fragile definition of this virtue. The world would have you believe that strength is the absence of fear, the absence of doubt, the absence of pain. The world would have you believe that a strong life is a life free of problems. I am here to tell you that that is not strength, that is a fantasy. And it is a fantasy that has made more people weak than any hardship ever could. A life without problems is a life without growth. A life without challenges is a life without progress. The oak tree does not grow strong in a sheltered greenhouse. It grows strong by battling the winds and the storms. It is the resistance that forces its roots to go deeper. So it is with a human being. True strength is not the absence of challenges. True strength is the cultivated capacity to meet them. It is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act even when you are afraid. It is not about never falling down. Strength is about the quality of your character that decides always to get back up. Strength, my friends, is a choice. It is a decision. It is the disciplined practice of meeting the resistance of life, not with complaint, not with retreat, but with a calm, quiet, and unshakable resolve. So, let us now deconstruct this powerful phrase, this new seed for your mental garden. I am strong enough to face any challenge. Let us begin with those first two words as we did on day one, I am. This is not I hope to be. It is not I will try to be. It is I am. It is a declaration of a present tense reality. It is a statement of identity. When you say I am strong, you are not describing a temporary feeling. You are claiming a permanent attribute of your character. You may be sitting there now facing a challenge that feels overwhelming, and you may be thinking to yourself, but I don't feel strong right now, and that is perfectly fine. This philosophy is not about lying to yourself. It is about speaking a higher truth than your temporary feelings. Your feelings are like the weather. They change with the hour. But your character, your true nature, is like the bedrock beneath the soil. It is constant. It is enduring. When you say, I am strong, you are choosing to identify with the bedrock, not the weather. You are aligning yourself with the part of you that has survived every single challenge you have ever faced in your life up to this very moment. And that part of you is, by definition, incredibly strong. Now, let us look at the next two words, strong enough. This is a phrase of profound and practical wisdom. It does not say, I am invincible. It does not say, I am all-powerful. Such statements can feel unbelievable to a mind in the grip of a challenge, and a belief that is not believable has no power. Strong enough is a statement of sufficiency. It means that for this challenge, at this moment, you possess the requisite amount of strength to meet it. It is a quiet, confident, and accurate assessment. It is the recognition that the universe never presents you with a challenge that is greater than your capacity to grow through it. The test is always perfectly matched to the student. The phrase strong enough removes the pressure of having to be a superhero. It simply asks you to be a person who is adequate for the task at hand. And the truth is, you always are. You may not have the strength for tomorrow's imaginary dragons, but you always have just enough strength for today's real challenges. To believe this is an act of profound faith in yourself and in the orderly nature of life's curriculum. Finally, we have the last part of the phrase, to face any challenge. This is the commitment to engagement. The weak mind, when it sees a challenge, looks for a way around it. It looks for an escape route, a shortcut, an exit. It seeks to avoid the confrontation. But the strong mind, the mind that you are building, understands a great truth. The only way out is through. The strength you seek is not found in avoiding the challenge. It is found within the challenge. The treasure is in the belly of the beast. To face a challenge means to turn toward it, to look it in the eye, to acknowledge its reality without shrinking. It is an act of courage. And it is the first step toward transforming the obstacle from a barrier into a stepping stone. So, the full phrase, I am strong enough to face any challenge, is a complete and powerful philosophy of resilience. It is a declaration of your innate character, an affirmation of your sufficient capacity, and a commitment to courageous engagement with life. This is the seed for day 3, and here is how you will plant it. As you go through your day today, you will inevitably face challenges. They will come in all shapes and sizes. It may be a difficult conversation you have been avoiding. It may be a complex problem at work that has you stumped. It may be a moment of personal temptation or a wave of financial anxiety. In each of these moments, as you feel the tension and the resistance rising, I want you to perform a simple, silent ritual. Pause, take one deep, slow breath. And in the quiet space of that breath, I want you to silently declare to yourself, I am strong enough to face this. Do not just say the words. Try to feel them. Feel the truth of them. Feel a sense of your own deep inner resilience. the part of you that is calm and unshakable. Notice the subtle shift in your posture, in your energy as you do this. The challenge itself may not change, but your relationship to it will. You will move from a position of victimhood to a position of power. You will no longer be the person the challenge is happening to. You will be the person who is happening to the challenge. This is a profound shift. It is the difference between being a piece of driftwood tossed about by the waves and being the captain of a ship steering with a firm hand into the heart of the storm, knowing that your vessel is sound. I also want you to practice the art of historical evidence gathering. Your own life is the greatest proof of your own strength. Take some time today to reflect on your past. Make a mental list of the 3 most difficult challenges you have ever overcome. The moments you thought would break you, but did not. Remember the details. Remember the fear you felt. Remember the uncertainty. And then remember the moment you found the will to take one more step. The moment you decided to get back up after being knocked down, dwell on these memories, for these are not stories of your weakness, they are the chronicles of your strength. Your past victories are the irrefutable evidence that the phrase, "I am strong enough to face any challenge," is not just an affirmation, it is a documented fact. You have done it before, and therefore you can do it again. This practice of consciously remembering your own resilience is one of the most powerful ways to build your confidence. You are not building your strength on wishful thinking, but on a solid foundation of historical proof. And so, as you plant this seed today, you are not creating a quality that you lack. You are simply awakening and acknowledging a quality that has been within you all along. You are not building strength from scratch. You are remembering the strength you have forgotten. Challenges are the curriculum of life. They are not punishments, they are assignments. They are designed to teach you, to stretch you, and to force you to evolve into the next and greater version of yourself. A life without challenges would be a stagnant pond. It is the rocks in the stream that cause the water to sing. Let this be your truth for the next 24 hours. Repeat it in the morning as a declaration of your intent for the day. Repeat it in the moments of pressure as your anchor in the storm. And repeat it at night as a recognition of the strength you have demonstrated. I am strong enough to face any challenge. Let these words become the armor for your soul. Let them remind you that you were not created for a life of ease and comfort. You were created for a life of growth, of contribution, and of mastery. You are a student in the great school of life, and you have been given every ounce of strength you need to pass every test that comes your way. Plant this seed of strength and watch as you become not a person who fears the storms of life, but a person who learns to sail them with grace, with courage, and with a deep and quiet power. We are now at the midpoint of our 7-day mental diet. You have planted the seeds of possibility, of power, and of strength. If these ideas are resonating with you, if you are committed to the patient and disciplined work of cultivating your own mental garden, then I invite you to make that commitment formal. Subscribe to this channel. Think of it not as a click of a button, but as a conscious decision to continue investing in your most valuable asset, your own mind. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and this is a fine step to take. Now, let us continue with our work. Good day. Welcome to day 4 of our 7-day journey into the architecture of the mind. In the days preceding this one, we have done some remarkable and powerful work. We have laid the great foundation of possibility with the words, I can. We have claimed our own power and responsibility with the declaration, I have control. And we have forged the armor of resilience with the truth, I am strong enough to face any challenge. You have been given the tools of the architect, the commander, and the warrior. And if you have diligently planted these seeds, you may have already begun to feel a subtle but undeniable shift in your own energy, in your posture, in the way you meet the day. But now we must address a deeper, more subtle, and often more powerful obstacle. We must turn our attention from the external battles of achievement to the quiet, internal war that determines the final outcome of all our efforts. For it is of no use to build a magnificent house if deep down you do not feel you are worthy of living in it. Today, we must address the silent saboteur, the invisible governor on the engine of your success, the quiet, persistent whisper that has undone more great plans and shattered more dreams than any external force in the universe. We must speak of the feeling of unworthiness. The phrase for today, the seed we will plant to heal this deep and ancient wound, is different from the others. It is not a command, it is not a declaration of strength, it is a gentle, loving, and profound affirmation of a truth you were born with, but may have been taught to forget. The phrase is this: I deserve success and happiness. This is for many the most difficult of all the seeds to plant. The words I can are about potential. I have control is about responsibility. I am strong is about resilience. But I deserve, that is about your fundamental intrinsic value as a human being. And there is no area where we have been more poorly educated. Let us first explore the anatomy of this saboteur. Where does this feeling of unworthiness come from? You were not born with it. No child enters this world believing they are undeserving of love, of joy, of nourishment. A child naturally and rightly expects these things. Unworthiness is not a natural state. It is a learned disease. It is a poison that is administered to us in small, almost imperceptible doses until it becomes a part of our very bloodstream. Perhaps it was planted by a well-meaning parent who, in an attempt to teach you humility, accidentally taught you that you were less than. Perhaps it was installed by a teacher who compared your work to that of another, leaving you with the quiet, persistent feeling that you would never quite measure up. Perhaps it was born from a single significant failure in your past, a business that did not succeed, a relationship that ended, a single event that you, in the courtroom of your own mind, allowed to graduate from an incident into a life sentence. You failed once, and you concluded, I am a failure, and therefore I am undeserving of success. Over the years, this feeling of unworthiness becomes an unconscious part of our identity. It becomes what your modern psychologist might call a limiting belief. But I prefer to think of it as something more tangible. It is an internal thermostat set to a low and comfortable temperature of mediocrity. You have a certain level of success and happiness that you unconsciously believe you are worthy of. And as long as your life stays at or below that temperature, everything feels normal. But the moment you begin to succeed, the moment you start to apply these other principles and your life begins to get hot with real achievement and genuine happiness, this internal thermostat kicks in. It sounds an alarm. Warning, warning, this level of success is unfamiliar. This level of joy is dangerous. It is not for you. And then the great and tragic mechanism of self-sabotage begins. You unconsciously will find a way to cool things back down to the familiar temperature. You will procrastinate on the very project that is about to succeed. You will pick a foolish argument with the person who brings you the most joy. You will make a careless financial mistake that erases your hard-won gains. You do this not because you are foolish, but because your subconscious mind is trying to return you to what it believes is your true and safe identity, the identity of someone who is not quite worthy of it all. Today, we are going to break that thermostat. We are going to consciously and deliberately reset the temperature. The phrase, I deserve success and happiness, is the code that allows you to do this. But unlike the other phrases, it must be used with a different quality of energy. The previous phrases were commands forged in the fire of your will. This phrase is a healing affirmation. It must be spoken not with aggression, but with a sense of gentle, loving, and profound acceptance. It is a declaration of peace with yourself. Let us deconstruct the phrase so we may understand its power. First, the words, I deserve. This is not a statement of arrogance or entitlement. Arrogance is the belief that you are better than others. Deserving is the quiet, internal recognition of your own intrinsic value. It is the understanding that you, by virtue of being a unique creation of God in the universe, have a right to pursue the fulfillment of your own potential. You do not have to earn your worthiness. Your worthiness is inherent. It was given to you at birth. You may have to earn your achievements through disciplined effort, but you do not have to earn the right to pursue those achievements. That right is absolute. To believe you are undeserving is to insult the very power that created you. It is to look upon a magnificent creation yourself and to declare that the Creator made a mistake. You must have the humility to accept that you are a worthy and magnificent creation, entitled to all the good that life has to offer. Now, let us look at the word success. The world has taught you to define success in narrow and often shallow terms. It has taught you to equate it with money, with status, with the accumulation of material things. These things can be a part of a successful life, but they are not its essence. When you say, "I deserve success," you must expand your definition. You are declaring that you deserve the success of a peaceful mind. You deserve the success of a body filled with health and vitality. You deserve the success of loving, authentic relationships. You deserve the success of doing work that fills you with a sense of purpose and pride. You deserve the success of becoming a better, wiser, and more compassionate human being with each passing year. This is true success. It is a rich, multifaceted life. It is not a single destination, but a journey of continuous growth. And can you truly, in your heart, say that you do not deserve this? And finally, we have the word happiness. Just as with success, the world has sold you a counterfeit version of happiness. It has taught you that happiness is a prize to be won at the end of a long struggle. It has taught you that happiness is conditional, that you will be happy when you get the promotion, when you buy the house, when you find the perfect partner. This is a philosophy that guarantees a life of perpetual dissatisfaction. True happiness is not a future destination. It is a present-day choice. It is not something you earn. It is something you allow. It is the joy that can be found in the small moments of the journey. It is the peace that comes from a clear conscience. It is the gratitude for the simple, miraculous gift of being alive. To say "I deserve happiness" is to give yourself permission to enjoy the journey. It is to reject the grim and joyless philosophy that you must suffer now in order to be worthy of joy later. It is to declare that joy is not a reward for a life well lived. It is an essential ingredient of a life well lived. This is the work of day 4. It is the work of healing. Your assignment for the next 24 hours is to become a gentle and loving teacher to your own subconscious mind. First, as with the other days, you must begin your morning by speaking this phrase aloud, but with a different tone. Speak it softly. Speak it with kindness. I deserve success and happiness. As you say it, place a hand over your heart. Feel the truth of the words. Let it be a comfort, not a command. Second, throughout the day, you must become a detective of your own self-sabotaging behaviors. This requires a gentle, non-judgmental awareness. Notice the subtle ways that you might be pushing success and happiness away. When someone gives you a genuine compliment, do you deflect it or dismiss it? That is a symptom of unworthiness. When something good happens, do you immediately start to worry about when it will be taken away? That is a symptom of unworthiness. Do you feel a sense of guilt when you take time to rest or to enjoy yourself? That is a symptom of unworthiness. When you notice these patterns, do not scold yourself. Simply pause, take a breath, and gently introduce this new thought. It is safe for me to feel good. It is safe for me to succeed. I deserve this. You are gently retraining your nervous system, teaching it that success and happiness are not threats to be avoided, but your natural and rightful state of being. Third, you must practice the art of receiving. The person who feels unworthy is often a magnificent giver, but a terrible receiver. They deflect compliments, they minimize their achievements, and they feel uncomfortable when others offer them help or generosity. This is the thermostat at work, trying to maintain the familiar state of not enough. Today, when someone offers you something, a compliment, a gift, a helping hand, your only job is to pause, look them in the eye, and say a simple, heartfelt, "Thank you." And as you say it, allow yourself to truly receive it. Let the positive energy in. This simple practice will begin to reset your internal thermostat to a higher level. This belief in your own worthiness is the fertile soil in which all the other seeds we have planted can truly flourish. Your belief that I can is meaningless if it is choked by the weed of, "but I don't deserve it." Your control is a hollow power if you use it to unconsciously steer yourself away from the very success you claim to want. And your strength is a tragic force if it is used only to endure a life of mediocrity that you believe is all you are worthy of. So, for today, let this be your focus. Let this be your quiet, internal revolution. Plant this seed of self-worth deep in the soil of your subconscious. Water it with the emotions of self-acceptance and self-love. Let it begin the process of healing the old wounds and rewriting the old scripts that have told you that you are anything less than a magnificent, deserving, and worthy creator, fully entitled to all the success and all the happiness that this life has to offer. Good day. Welcome back to our shared journey to this disciplined exploration of the mind. We have now arrived at day 5 of our mental diet. In the days preceding this, we have done some remarkable and foundational work together. We have laid the cornerstone of possibility, declaring with newfound conviction, I can. We have claimed our own authority, our own responsibility, by affirming the profound truth that I have control. We have forged the inner steel of resilience, knowing that I am strong enough, and we have healed the deep internal wound of limitation by accepting the simple, powerful idea that I deserve. You have, in these last 4 days, built the foundation and the frame of a new mental house, a house of potential, of power, of strength, and of worthiness. It is a magnificent structure. But now we must speak of the dragon. For at the gate of every treasure you seek, at the threshold of every significant achievement, at the border of the life you desire, there stands a guardian. It is the oldest, most powerful, and most universal of all human adversaries. It has slain more dreams, paralyzed more potential, and kept more greatness locked in silent mediocrity than all the armies and all the tyrants of history combined. Today, we are here to speak of fear. And the phrase for today, the seed that we will plant, is not a denial of this dragon's existence, but a declaration of your supremacy over it. The phrase is this: I am stronger than my fears. Now, before we proceed, we must engage in an act of profound intellectual honesty. We must look this great adversary in the eye and understand its true nature. For most of your life, you have been taught to treat fear as an enemy, a weakness to be ashamed of, a curse to be eliminated. You have been told that the goal is to be fearless. Let me suggest a different philosophy. Fear is not your enemy. Fear, in its purest form, is your servant. It is one of the most ancient and valuable tools your biological and psychological mechanism possesses. It is a signal. At its root, fear is a form of energy, a surge of heightened awareness designed for one purpose: to keep you safe. When your ancient ancestor heard a rustle in the tall grass, the sensation of fear sharpened his senses, flooded his body with adrenaline, and prepared him for decisive action to fight or to flee. It was a magnificent tool for survival. The tragedy of the modern age is not that we still have fear. It is that this ancient, primal survival tool is now being misapplied. The world you live in is, for the most part, physically safe. There are no saber-toothed tigers lurking in your office, but your nervous system does not know this. And so, this powerful survival mechanism now gets triggered by modern social and psychological threats. The rustle in the tall grass is now the fear of making a phone call to a potential client. The shadow of the predator is now the fear of speaking your idea in a meeting. The threat of annihilation is now the fear of what others might think of you if you try and fail. And so you experience the same powerful physiological response: the racing heart, the shallow breath, the contracted stomach, but in a context where it is no longer serving you, it is paralyzing you. You have a magnificent alarm system that is now ringing at all the wrong times, keeping you safe within the confines of a comfort zone that is slowly suffocating your potential. Our goal today is not to destroy this alarm system. That would be foolish. Our goal is to retrain it, to remaster it. It is to thank the servant for its diligence, and then to calmly and firmly remind it who is in charge. This is the meaning behind the phrase, I am stronger than my fears. It is not a denial of the feeling. It is a declaration of your identity. Fear is a feeling that passes through you. You are the consciousness that observes that feeling. You are the sky. Fear is a passing cloud. The cloud is not the sky. You are, by your very nature, greater than and separate from any emotion or thought that you experience. Strength, in this context, is not the absence of fear. The bravest person you can imagine still feels fear. Courage is not being fearless. Courage is the practice, discipline of acting in spite of the feeling of fear. It is the conscious, deliberate decision that your definite purpose is more important than your temporary feeling of discomfort. It is the ultimate expression of the truth we affirmed on day 2. I have control. You may not control the arising of the feeling of fear, but you have absolute control over your response to it. So, let us begin the work of the master. The work is not to fight the dragon, but to tame it. And the taming process involves 3 distinct disciplines. The first discipline is acknowledgement. The untrained mind, when it feels fear, does one of 2 things. It either immediately surrenders to the fear, allowing it to dictate its actions or inactions, or it tries to suppress the fear, to pretend it isn't there, to numb it with distraction. Both are strategies of weakness. The master practices the discipline of calm, dispassionate acknowledgement. When the sensation of fear arises, the tightening in your chest, the anxious thoughts, you do not run from it, you do not fight it. You simply turn the light of your conscious awareness upon it. You pause, you breathe, and you say internally, ah, there you are. I see you, fear. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. I acknowledge your presence. This simple act is profoundly transformative. By observing the fear instead of being consumed by it, you create a space. You separate you from it. You are no longer the fear, you are the one who is noticing the fear. In this space, your power is reclaimed. Fear thrives in the darkness of the unconscious. It withers under the calm, steady light of conscious awareness. The second discipline is analysis. Once you have acknowledged the fear and created that space, you must then become a curious scientist. You must interrogate the fear, not to argue with it, but to understand it. You must ask with genuine curiosity, what specifically is the story you are telling me right now? Fear rarely speaks in generalities. It speaks in specific, often irrational stories. So, get specific. Is the fear of making the sales call really a fear of the phone? Of course not. If you analyze it, you may find the underlying story is, what if they say no and I feel the sting of rejection? Or, what if I stumble over my words and sound foolish? By naming the specific story, you take it out of the realm of a great amorphous terror and you bring it down to a manageable size. You can then analyze the story itself. Ask, is this story true? What is the actual statistical probability of this catastrophic outcome I am imagining? And even if it were to happen, would I survive? Of course I would. This process of calm, logical analysis reveals that most of our fears are not based on a realistic assessment of risk. They are ghosts. They are exaggerated, dramatized stories from our inner child, designed to keep us from any form of potential harm, including the harm of simply feeling uncomfortable. When you shine the light of logic on these ghosts, they begin to dissolve. This brings us to the third and most crucial discipline, action. You cannot think your way out of fear. You cannot affirm your way out of fear. You must act your way out of fear. Action is the great antidote. Fear thrives in the darkness of hesitation and overthinking, but it cannot survive the bright, cleansing light of decisive action. Courage is a muscle, and like any muscle, it is built only through resistance. It is strengthened only by doing the thing you are afraid to do. The work for today is not just to repeat the phrase, I am stronger than my fears. The work is to prove it to yourself, and you prove it through action. I want you to identify one thing today, just one thing, however small, that you have been avoiding out of fear. It could be making a difficult phone call. It could be sending an important email. It could be speaking your truth in a conversation. It could be starting the first small step of a great project. And then, armed with this phrase, with this new understanding, I want you to take that action. In the moment before you act, the feeling of fear may be intense. Your heart may pound. Your mind may scream at you to retreat. This is the moment of truth. This is where your training is tested. In that moment, you will pause. You will acknowledge the feeling. you will analyze the story it is telling you. And then you will say, with a quiet internal resolve, I am stronger than my fear. And then you will move. With that single act of courage, something profound happens. You are not just completing a task, you are rewriting your own identity. You are sending a new powerful instruction to your subconscious mind. The old instruction was, when I feel fear, I retreat. The new instruction, demonstrated by your action, is, when I feel fear, I advance. You are building a new habit. You are forging a new character. And with every repetition, the muscle of your courage grows stronger. The next time you face that same fear, it will have a little less power over you. And the time after that, even less. You are, through your actions, systematically desensitizing yourself to the fear. You are teaching your nervous system that the threat is not, in fact, a threat to your survival. This is the great and beautiful secret. The things you fear are rarely as fearsome as the fear itself. The rejection is rarely as painful as the anxiety you felt beforehand. The failure is rarely as catastrophic as you imagined. And on the other side of that fear, on the other side of that action, lies a new and expanded version of yourself. A person who is a little bit braver, a little bit stronger, and a little bit freer than the person who hesitated a moment before. So, for today, let this be your philosophy. See fear not as a wall, but as a doorway. See it not as a stop sign, but as a compass, pointing you directly toward the area of your next great growth. Do not seek a life without fear. That is a life without challenge, a life without growth, a life that is small. Instead, seek to become a person who is so strong, so rooted in your purpose, so practiced in the art of courage, that fear no longer has the power to stop you. Plant the seed today. I am stronger than my fears. Water it not just with your words, but with your actions. For every act of courage is a declaration of your freedom. And in the steady, consistent accumulation of these small acts of courage, you will build for yourself a character and a life that is truly and magnificently unbreakable. Good day. Welcome to day 6 of our journey. We have traveled a remarkable distance together in these few short days. We have laid the foundation of possibility, declaring, I can. We have claimed our sovereign power, declaring, I have control. We have forged our inner resilience, declaring, I am strong enough. We have healed the deep wound of unworthiness, declaring, I deserve success. And yesterday, we stood face to face with the great dragon of fear and declared, with unshakable conviction, I am stronger than my fears. You have been given the tools of creation, of power, of strength, and of courage. You are now armed. You are now prepared to walk the path of your own choosing. But the journey of a well-lived life is not just about walking, it is about learning from the road itself. It is not just about facing the battles, it is about gathering the wisdom that each battle bestows. Today, we turn our attention from the inner state of the warrior to the inner state of the sage. We must now learn the art of turning experience into equity, of transmuting the raw material of our days into the pure gold of wisdom. For what is the use of a long life if it does not also become a wise one? The phrase for today, the seed that will transform your entire relationship with your past, your present, and your future is this: I grow wiser with every experience. This is perhaps the most peaceful and the most powerful of all the phrases we will plant. It is a philosophy that, when fully embraced, makes you immune to the concept of permanent defeat. It is a state of mind that guarantees your continual growth, regardless of the circumstances you face. It is the secret to playing the game of life in such a way that you can never truly lose. Let us begin by dissecting a common and dangerous fallacy. Most people go through life seeing their experiences as a series of disconnected events which they label as either good or bad. A promotion is good, a business failing is bad, a new relationship is good, a heartbreak is bad. They live on a pendulum, swinging between the elation of their victories and the despair of their defeats. Their happiness is a hostage to their circumstances. But the student of wisdom, the master gardener of the mind, understands a deeper truth. Life is not a series of disconnected events, Life is a curriculum. It is a perfectly designed, lifelong seminar created for the sole purpose of your own growth and evolution. And in this great university of life, there are no good or bad experiences. There are only lessons. When you adopt this philosophy, everything changes. The entire concept of failure, as the world understands it, becomes obsolete. It is erased from your vocabulary and from your reality. What the world calls failure, the wise man calls feedback. What the world calls a mistake, the wise man calls a lesson. What the world sees as a tragedy, the wise man sees as an unscheduled but profoundly valuable education. Consider the scientist in his laboratory. He is working on a great discovery. He formulates a hypothesis and he conducts an experiment. The experiment does not produce the expected result. Does he fall to his knees and declare himself a failure? Does he abandon his laboratory and weep for his misfortune? Of course not. That would be absurd. He simply makes a note in his journal. Hypothesis A did not produce the desired outcome. Interesting. He has not failed. He has simply gathered new data. He has learned one way that does not work, which brings him one crucial step closer to the way that does. Every null result, every failed experiment is a necessary and valuable part of the process of discovery. It is not a roadblock, it is a signpost, pointing him in a new direction. You must begin to see your own life as this laboratory. Every action you take, every plan you execute is an experiment. If it produces the result you wanted, you have a success. If it does not, you have a lesson. You have just purchased a piece of invaluable information that you could have acquired in no other way. To lament this is to lament the very process of learning itself. Let me ask you to engage in a simple exercise. Think back for a moment to a failure from your own past. An event that perhaps for years has carried the sting of shame or regret. A business that did not succeed. A relationship that ended. A goal you did not achieve. Now, I want you to look at that same event through this new lens, not as a failure, but as a tuition payment for a priceless education. Ask yourself with genuine curiosity, what did that experience teach me? What did I learn about myself, about others, about the laws of life that I could have learned in no other way? What strength did I develop in enduring that hardship that I would not possess today without it? How did that closed door force me to find a new and better path that I would have otherwise never discovered? If you are honest in this reflection, you will begin to see that your greatest failures were, in fact, your most profound and valuable teachers. The pain of the experience was the price of the wisdom, and wisdom is an asset that, once acquired, can never be taken from you. It becomes a part of your character, a tool in your mental toolkit that you will use for the rest of your life. This is the alchemy of wisdom. It is the art of extracting the gold from the lead of your past experiences. But this process of extraction is not automatic. It requires a conscious and disciplined practice. It is not enough to simply have experiences. You must process them. I have often said that we should all keep a journal. This is one of the primary reasons why. The act of reflection is the mechanism by which experience is transmuted into wisdom. The undisciplined mind simply lurches from one experience to the next. It feels the pain of a setback, and then, in a desperate attempt to avoid that pain, it quickly moves on to the next thing, hoping for a better result. But because the lesson was never integrated, the pattern is doomed to repeat itself. The master, however, understands the value of the pause. At the end of a great project, a difficult week, or even a single challenging day, he creates a space for reflection. He takes out his journal, his mental ledger, and he asks a simple set of questions. What did I set out to do? What were the results? What went well and why? What did not go well and why? What is the one key lesson I can take from this experience that will make me more effective tomorrow? This simple, consistent ritual is the very engine of wisdom accumulation. It is the act of consciously harvesting the lessons from the field of your own life. The man who does this does not simply get older, he gets wiser. Every day, every week, every year, he is adding to his storehouse of wisdom. He is compounding his understanding of himself and of the world. As you go through your day today, the 6th day of our mental diet, I want you to practice this philosophy. See every event, every conversation, every task, and every challenge as a part of your personal curriculum. If you have a conversation that goes poorly, do not lament it. Reflect on it. What could you have said differently? What could you have understood better? There is a lesson in communication there. If you attempt a task and the result is not what you hoped for, do not despair. Analyze the process. Where was the flaw in the strategy? What new skill is required? There is a lesson in execution there. If you receive criticism, do not react with defensiveness. Listen to it. Is there a kernel of truth in it? The world can be your greatest mirror if you have the humility to look at your own reflection. There is a lesson in self-awareness there. When you adopt this mindset, you begin to move through the world not with the anxiety of a person who is trying to avoid problems, but with the calm, serious confidence of a student who knows that every experience is a gift of wisdom in disguise. You develop a new and profound sense of patience with yourself and with the process of life. You understand that you will not get it right every time, and that is not the point. The point is to learn every time. This brings a sense of peace that is unshakable. The man whose happiness is dependent on achieving a specific outcome is a man who will live a life of anxiety. But the man whose primary goal is to grow wiser can never be defeated. Even in the face of what the world would call a total failure, he can stand tall and say, I have learned, I have grown, I am wiser now than I was before, and therefore I have won. This is the great liberating secret. You get to define what winning means. If you define it as the accumulation of wisdom, then every single day, every single experience becomes a victory. So, plant this seed today. Water it with the practice of conscious reflection. Let it reframe your past from a source of regret into a library of wisdom. Let it illuminate your present as a rich and fertile classroom. And let it shape your future, not as a destination to be feared, but as a journey of infinite learning and endless growth. Let these words become your new reality. I grow wiser with every experience. Good day. And welcome to day 7. We have reached the culmination of our week together, the final day of our mental diet. We have journeyed through a remarkable landscape, the landscape of your own mind. And in doing so, we have planted a series of powerful, life-altering seeds. On the first day, we laid the foundation of possibility with the great declaration, I can. We broke the barren ground of our self-imposed limitations. On the second day, we claimed our own power, our sovereignty, with the phrase, I have control. We took back the pen that writes the story of our lives. On the third day, we forged our resilience in the face of adversity, affirming that I am strong enough to face any challenge. On the fourth, we healed the deep internal wound of unworthiness by accepting the profound truth that I deserve success and happiness. On the fifth, we confronted the great dragon of fear and declared our supremacy over it, stating with conviction, I am stronger than my fears. And yesterday, on the 6th day, we embraced the role of the lifelong student, understanding that I grow wiser with every experience, transforming every setback into a stepping stone. You have now built the great pillars of a new mental home. The foundation is laid, the walls are erected, the frame is strong. But a structure, no matter how well built, is not complete until the final locking stone is put in place. The stone that bears the weight, that distributes the pressure, and that transforms a collection of individual pieces into a single, unshakable whole. This is the keystone. Today, we will place that keystone. We will plant the final seed, the one that gives all the others their ultimate power and their lasting grace. We are here today to speak of the profound and often misunderstood discipline of gratitude. The phrase for our final day, the one that will seal our work together, is this: I am grateful for my life today. Now, in a world that is relentlessly focused on the future, on the next goal, on what is yet to be acquired, this phrase may sound simple, almost passive. It may seem like a gentle conclusion to a week of powerful declarations. Do not be deceived. This is perhaps the most powerful and transformative principle of all. For gratitude, when properly understood and practiced, is not a passive emotion you feel when things are good. It is an active, dynamic, and creative force. It is a discipline. It is a conscious and deliberate choice of focus. It is the art of tuning your mind to the frequency of abundance, even in a world that screams of scarcity. Let us first deconstruct the great fallacy that surrounds happiness and gratitude. The masses believe that they will be grateful when they are successful. I will be grateful when I get the promotion. I will be grateful when I have $1 million. I will be grateful when I find the perfect relationship. This is the philosophy of when, then. And it is a formula for a life of perpetual dissatisfaction. A man who cannot be grateful for the single dollar he has in his pocket today will never feel rich, even when he is standing in a vault filled with $1 million. His mind is tuned to the frequency of what is missing, and so he will always find something that is missing. The master, the true student of life, understands the opposite is true. He does not become grateful because he is successful. He becomes successful because he is grateful. Gratitude is the cause, not the effect. It is the starting point, not the destination. The very act of being grateful for the life you have today is the magnetic force that begins to attract the life you truly desire. Why is this so? Because the universe, your own subconscious mind, responds not to your wishes, but to your dominant vibration, your dominant feeling state. What you focus on expands. When your dominant thought is one of complaint, of lack, of what is wrong with your life, you are planting seeds of negativity. You are tuning your mind to the frequency of scarcity. And the universe, that impartial and faithful servant, will dutifully bring you more circumstances, more people, and more experiences that give you more to complain about. But when you consciously choose to focus on what you are grateful for, you perform an act of profound mental alchemy. You tune your mind to the frequency of abundance. You are sending out a powerful, coherent signal that says, I already live in a world of blessings. I am already rich in opportunity and in spirit. And the universe, by its very law, must reflect that reality back to you. It will begin to show you more things to be grateful for. Opportunities you were once blind to will suddenly become visible. The good that was already in your life will be amplified. This is the hidden code. Gratitude is not a response to a positive reality, it is the cause of it. So, for our final day together, this will be your great work. You will become a detective of gratitude. Your mission is to actively seek out, to identify, and to acknowledge with genuine feeling all the things in your life, both large and small, for which you are thankful. This is not a passive hope. It is an active discipline. Let us explore the practical application of this discipline, for it has many layers. The practice begins, as all great disciplines do, in the morning for the next 24 hours, and I hope for the rest of your life you will change your morning ritual. Before you make your list of what you must do, you will first make a list of what you are grateful for. This is not a mechanical exercise. Do not simply write down a list of words. The power is not in the words, but in the feeling. Take each item, hold it in your mind, and for a brief moment, genuinely feel the emotion of gratitude for it. Start with the simple, the obvious, the things we so often take for granted that their absence would be a catastrophe. I am grateful for my health. Even if it is not perfect, be grateful for the parts of you that are strong, for the breath in your lungs, for the heart that is beating without your conscious command. A man who has his health has 1,000 dreams. A man who does not has but one. I am grateful for the roof over my head. In a world where so many have no shelter, this is a profound blessing. Feel the gratitude for the safety, the warmth, the simple dignity of your own space. I am grateful for the people in my life. Think of one person, a family member, a friend, a mentor. Bring their face to your mind and feel a genuine sense of appreciation for their presence in your life, for a lesson they taught you, for a kindness they showed you. I am grateful for the simple gift of a new day. This day has never existed before. It is a blank canvas filled with 24 hours of fresh opportunity. What a miracle that is. This is the foundational practice. The gratitude for what is obviously good, But if you wish to become a true master of this philosophy, you must go deeper. You must take on the advanced practice. You must learn to cultivate gratitude, not just for your blessings, but for your burdens. This is the level of thinking that separates the amateur from the professional. This is the alchemy that can transform any circumstance, no matter how difficult, into a source of power. You must learn to say, with genuine conviction, I am grateful for my challenges. Why? Because a challenge is not a punishment. It is an invitation from life to grow stronger. A muscle does not grow in a state of rest. It grows only when it is placed under resistance. Your challenges are the resistance that is building your spiritual and mental muscles. To be grateful for the challenge is to welcome the very process that is forging you into the person you are meant to become. You must learn to say, I am grateful for my mistakes and my failures. Why? Because a mistake is not a verdict on your character, it is a lesson. Every failure is a piece of priceless tuition in the great school of life. It teaches you what does not work. It points you toward a better path. It builds your wisdom. To be grateful for your failures is to transform them from sources of shame into badges of honor. Evidence that you have been in the arena, that you have dared greatly. You must even learn to say, I am grateful for the difficult people in my life. This is perhaps the most difficult practice of all. But the people who challenge you, who criticize you, who oppose you, they are often your greatest teachers. They teach you patience. They teach you resilience. They reveal to you the parts of your own ego that still need to be humbled. They force you to become stronger, clearer, and more centered in your own values. To be grateful for them is not to condone their behavior, but to recognize the hidden gift in the lesson they are providing. This is the advanced practice of gratitude. It is a radical act of reframing your entire reality. The man who can be grateful not just for the sunshine, but also for the storm, is a man who cannot be defeated. For he has learned how to turn everything, absolutely everything, into a source of strength and wisdom. Now, let us examine how this keystone of gratitude locks all our other work from this week into place. Think of our phrase from day one, I can achieve anything I truly want. Gratitude reinforces this by forcing you to focus on the resources and abilities you already possess. It shifts your mind from what you lack to what you have, which is the very foundation of the I can mindset. Think of day two. I have control over my own life. Gratitude is the ultimate expression of this control. In any situation, no matter how dire, you always have control over one thing, your perspective. The choice to be grateful is the ultimate act of taking control of your inner world, regardless of what is happening in the outer world. Think of day three. I am strong enough to face any challenge. Gratitude reinforces this by reminding you of all the challenges you have already overcome. Every past struggle you can now be grateful for is a testament to the strength you have already demonstrated. Think of day four. I deserve success and happiness. Gratitude is the very act of feeling worthy. By being grateful, you are sending a powerful signal to your subconscious mind that you are open and receptive to the good in the world, that you believe you are deserving of it. Think of day five. I am stronger than my fears. Gratitude is the direct antidote to fear. It is a physical impossibility to be in a state of genuine gratitude and a state of fear at the same time. The two are mutually exclusive vibrations. When you feel fear, the fastest way to dissolve it is to consciously switch your focus to something for which you are deeply grateful. And think of day six. I grow wiser with every experience. Gratitude is the very mechanism by which you extract the wisdom. It is the act of looking upon a difficult experience and deliberately searching for the hidden lesson, the seed of an equivalent benefit for which you can be thankful. You see, gratitude is not just a pleasant feeling. It is the keystone. It is the great harmonizer. It is the force that takes all the other principles and locks them together into a single, powerful, and unshakable philosophy of life. So, this is your work for our final day. Become a detective of gratitude. Start your morning with it. End your evening with it. Throughout the day, when you find your mind drifting toward worry or complaint, gently but firmly redirect it to a thought of gratitude. Be grateful for the obvious blessings and have the courage to begin the advanced practice of being grateful for your burdens. This is not the end of our work. It is the beginning of a new way of living. The 7 seeds we have planted this week are not magic beans that will create a new life for you overnight. They are the foundational principles that, if you continue to cultivate them day after day, will inevitably produce a magnificent and beautiful harvest. Your life from this day forward is your garden, and you are the master gardener. You now know which seeds to plant and which weeds to pull. The quality of your life will be a direct reflection of the quality of your daily cultivation. Thank you for investing this time with me. It has been an honor to share these ideas with you. If this journey has served you, if you are committed to the ongoing work of becoming the architect of your own life, then I invite you to make this space a regular part of your journey of growth. Subscribe to this channel. Continue to plant the seeds of greatness. Now, go forth. Go forth with the knowledge that you can. Go forth with the power of your own control. Go forth with the strength to face any challenge. Go forth with the certainty of your own worthiness. Go forth with the courage that is greater than any fear. Go forth with the wisdom gained from every experience. And above all, go forth with a heart filled with gratitude. Go forth and create for yourself a magnificent and beautiful harvest.